Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Think about the last time you were in a forest. Not a park, not somewhere safe. A real forest, where the trees are too close together, where the light struggles to reach the ground, where the deeper you go, the quieter it gets. Now imagine that silence doesn't mean nothing is there. It means something. It's choosing not to make a sound. Tonight's story is about a group of friends who went somewhere they weren't supposed to, not because there were rules, not because there were warnings, but because some places don't need either. And if you ever find yourself in a forest that suddenly goes quiet, don't call out. Don't answer anything that calls back. And whatever you do, don't follow your own voice. This is the thing that walks between the trees. The thing that walks between the trees. You don't notice the forest getting quiet all at once. That's the first lie it tells you. People say silence falls like a curtain, but that's not true. It creeps. It withdraws things one by one until you realize something is wrong. And by then, it's already listening to you. I didn't understand that until the third night, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We weren't supposed to go that deep. Everyone says that after something happens. It's almost comforting, like rules exist to protect you. Like breaking them is the reason things go wrong. But we didn't break any rules. There were no signs, no warnings, no stories about that part of the forest. That's what bothers me the most. There were 4 of us. Me, Daniel, Liza, and Mark. We'd done this kind of thing before. Weekend camping trips, cheap gear, bad food, worse decisions. The kind of outings where nothing really happens. And that's the whole point. The forest we picked was older than the rest. You could tell just by looking at it from the road. The trees stood closer together, their trunks thicker, bark darker, almost damp-looking, even in the sun. Mark said it looked untouched. Liza said it looked wrong. We laughed, because Liza always said things like that. The first mile in was normal. The air smelled like pine and dry leaves. Insects buzzed. Birds called from somewhere high above. The ground crunched beneath our boots. But then, gradually, the trees began to change. Not dramatically, just subtly. The trunks leaned closer together as if crowding us. Branches tangled overhead, blocking out more of the sky. The light filtered through in thin, pale strands, like it had to squeeze its way in. Daniel noticed it first. "Feels colder," he said. It did. Not freezing, just less alive. Like the warmth had somewhere better to be. We found a clearing around late afternoon. It wasn't large, just enough space for 2 tents and a small fire. The ground there was strangely bare. No grass, no thick layer of leaves. Just hard, dry soil. Mark loved it immediately. "Perfect," he said. "No undergrowth, no bugs." Liza didn't say anything. She just looked at the tree line. Longer than she should have. We set up camp. By the time the fire was going, the forest had started to dim. Not sunset dim, just muted. Like the colors were draining out of everything. That's when I first noticed the silence. At first, I thought it was just the birds settling down. But it wasn't that. It was everything. No insects. No wind. No distant sounds. Just the crackle of our fire. And us. "Do you hear that?" Liza asked. We all paused. "Listen. Nothing." "That's the problem," she said. Mark rolled his eyes. "It's a forest, not a nightclub." But he kept glancing over his shoulder after that. We ate, talked, joked, tried to pretend it wasn't getting to us. Night came quickly. Too quickly. One moment the sky was gray through the trees. The next it was gone entirely. The darkness wasn't just outside the firelight. It pressed against it, like it wanted in. We decided to take turns keeping watch. No real reason. Just instinct. That's what we told ourselves. I took the second shift. Daniel woke me around midnight. The fire had burned low, casting long, twitching shadows across the clearing. The others were asleep in their tents. "Nothing weird," Daniel said. but his voice was tight. He didn't meet my eyes. For a while, everything was fine. I sat by the fire, feeding it small pieces of wood, watching the flames, listening to nothing. That silence again. It wasn't empty. It felt occupied, like something was choosing not to make a sound. That's when I heard it. A footstep, soft, just beyond the trees. I froze, listened, nothing. Then another step, slow, deliberate. Hello? I called. No response. The darkness beyond the clearing didn't move, didn't shift. But I felt something there, watching. Mark? I tried. No answer. The tents were still closed. No movement. No sound. The footsteps stopped. For a long time, there was nothing. I almost convinced myself I imagined it. Almost. And something moved between the trees. Not clearly. Just a shape. Tall. Too tall. It passed behind a trunk, then another, just at the edge of the firelight. Not coming closer. Not going away. Just circling. I grabbed a stick from the fire and held it out, the burning end shaking slightly. Hey! I shouted. The shape stopped. And for 1 second, I thought it leaned closer, and it was gone. I didn't wake the others. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want to sound crazy. Maybe something didn't want me to. The rest of the night passed without incident. But I didn't sleep again. Morning came, but it didn't feel like morning. The light was wrong. Dim. Gray. Like the sun was somewhere else. Did anyone walk around last night? I asked. They all said no. Even Mark. And Mark would have joked about it. We packed up. Quickly. No one said it, but we all felt it. We needed to leave. That's when we realized the path was gone. The way we came in should have been obvious. A slight dip in the ground. Broken branches. Disturbed leaves. But there was nothing. Just trees. Identical. Endless. That's not possible, Daniel said. He started walking in the direction he thought was right. We followed. Because what else could we do? An hour passed. And 2. The forest didn't change. No matter how far we walked, it looked the same. Same trees. Same spacing. Same dim gray light. Then Liza stopped. There, she said. Ahead of us. The clearing. Our clearing. The tents. The fire pit. Everything exactly where we left it. No, Mark whispered. We hadn't turned around. We hadn't doubled back. We just came back. That's when the fear really started. We tried again. Different direction. Faster pace. Mark even marked trees with his knife. 2 hours later, the clearing. The marks were gone. By evening, we weren't talking much anymore. We set up camp again, because we had no choice. That night, we didn't bother pretending. We all stayed awake. Together. Fire burning high. Eyes on the trees. And then, we heard it. A voice. Hey. It came from the forest. Soft. Familiar. Mark went pale. He started. It's you, Liza said quietly. The voice spoke again. Mark. It sounded exactly like him. No, he whispered. No, no. From the darkness, something stepped forward. It was him. Oh, it looked like him. Same face, same clothes, same expression, but wrong. Too still, too precise. Like someone copying him from memory. Guys, it said. Its voice was perfect, but the timing, slightly off. Like it had to think about when to speak. We backed away. All of us. Even Mark. Don't, Liza said. Don't let it close her. The thing smiled. Mark's smile. But wider. Too wide. I got lost, it said. Behind it, another shape moved. And another. More figures stepping between the trees. Not all of them were us. Some were taller. Some Wrong in ways I can't explain. But they all watched us. The Mark thing took a step forward, and then the real Mark screamed. He bolted, ran straight into the trees. "Mark," Daniel shouted. The copies moved instantly, not chasing, welcoming. We heard him scream again. Then, nothing. We didn't go after him. We couldn't, because they were still there, watching, waiting. They didn't attack. They didn't rush us. They just stood there, like they knew, like they didn't need to. Eventually, they drifted back into the trees, one by one, except one, the Mark thing. It stood at the edge of the clearing, smiling. Then it said something I'll never forget. 3 left, and it stepped backward and disappeared. We didn't sleep. The next day we tried again, to leave. Same result, always back to the clearing. By the 3rd night, we understood. The forest wasn't trapping us. It was keeping us, like livestock. That night, the voices came again. Not just Mark's, ours, from the trees, from behind us, from everywhere. They whispered things we hadn't said, thoughts we hadn't spoken, fears we didn't want anyone to know. Liza broke first. She covered her ears, screaming. And then she ran, straight into the dark. We heard her voice almost immediately. "Daniel, help me." But she was already gone. And something else was speaking for her, perfectly. Daniel collapsed. "I can't do this," he said. "I can't." I grabbed him. "Don't listen, don't respond. Whatever they say, don't answer." Because I understood something there. It wasn't just copying us. It needed us to respond, to acknowledge it, to confirm it. Daniel nodded, but he was shaking. That night stretched on forever. By morning, he was gone. No sound, no struggle, just gone. And at the edge of the clearing, 3 figures stood. Mark, Liza, Daniel. Perfect. Smiling. "Just you," they said, in unison. I don't remember deciding to run. I just did. Not away. Through them. I ran straight at the tree line, straight at the copies. They didn't move to stop me. They stepped aside, like they wanted me to go, like this was the final part. I didn't stop running. I didn't look back. And eventually, the forest changed. The trees thinned. A light returned. The sounds came back. And suddenly, I was out, standing at the edge of the road. Just like that. They found me hours later, dehydrated, disoriented, alone. I told them everything. They didn't believe me. Of course they didn't. Search teams went in. They never found the clearing. Never found my friends. Said I must have gotten lost, panicked, imagined things. But they're wrong. Because sometimes, at night, I hear them, not outside, inside, my own voice, saying things I haven't said yet. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror, I don't look away fast enough, and I see it, just for a second. My reflection, smiling before I do. If you made it to the end, take a second. Just listen, because that silence around you right now, it might not be empty. Stories like this stick with you, not because they're loud, not because they rely on jump scares, but because they leave a question behind. If something could copy you perfectly, your voice, your face, your thoughts, would anyone else be able to tell the difference? Would you? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are plenty more waiting in the dark. And if you have a story of your own, something you can't quite explain, you can leave it in the comments. I read more of them than you think. Just be careful what answers back. Sleep well, if you can.